What's poppin', everybody? Hello and welcome to Popcorn Culture. My name is Ben Carlin and I am your host. Here with me today is my brother Jay, who will be in every episode.
They couldn't let me have it, Ben. They couldn't let me have it.
I'm so sorry. I couldn't even get through the whole intro. I was like, oh man.
Nope. Thank you to our patron Dola, who signed up for the buttered popcorn tier and knocked me right off the hostmanship.
Swung the votes once again.
Yeah.
Oh dear. And the fun thing about it is that the game is working, right?
The game,
You know,
I mean,
it's
there's no doubt. There's no doubt. I'm not upset. I'm just upset. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm not mad. I'm mad. I'm mad. Do you think that sentiment has changed at all? I feel like at some point in time, okay, so it's kind of like the phrase, like, it's not you, it's me, for like a breakup. Mm-hmm. It's sort of like at some point in time, that was probably like not a bad sentiment in terms of breaking up with somebody.
Right, yeah.
Like, you know, like basically you're saying like, look, you didn't do anything wrong. Like there's nothing that like has been, you know, that you could have done differently that would have changed things, which maybe that comes with its own form of like, wow, so it is just me, huh? Yeah. But like, I think for many people, there certainly could be the case where it's like, I need to work on me right now, you know, like, and that means I'm maybe not in a good spot for a relationship. I feel like it's a sentiment that I've been able to like understand more as I've gotten older. You know, like I could see a scenario where somebody needs to like work on themselves before they're ready to be in a relationship.
Well, I think that's probably true too. It's like this is a tricky one because I feel like the subtext for it's not you is me, is that it's you. Like this is like such a weird thing. It's like now I'm realizing that maybe I just have like an internal bias about this particular statement. Okay. So like the way, like whenever I hear it's not me, it's you, it's always just like a strategy to finish the conversation. It's like, okay, it's obviously already happened. Like you've already clearly broken up at this point, and now you're just trying to be like, now I have to get out of this conversation so that the breakup can officially begin. But all that's stopping me from moving on with the rest of my life is this conversation, which I don't want to be a part of anymore, hence the breakup. How can I make this easier and not so painful on everyone involved, even if I have to lie?
Here's the thing, is that like when it comes to breakups, the underlying sentiment, no matter what, if done properly, is negative. And it's like what you're really trying to do is not give the person that like is being broken up with an excessive number of things to like ruminate on, or then to potentially contest. Yeah. You know, because it's like if you start giving like examples of things or like listing problems or whatever the case may be, it's like the person who is on the receiving end of that information is going to do nothing but fixate on that information, almost absolutely become defensive about that information, and then definitely try to prove you wrong and be like, see, you said this, but like I can prove to you that that's not the case, and therefore we'll get back together, right? And the answer is no. Right. Like they still tried to break up with you, and therefore it's like the whole ecosystem of the relationship has now been endangered, and it's like there's no way to go back to before the moment when the person broke up with you. Like that has now like included forever in like the permanent record of correspondence between you and the other person.
Even if you get back together, that happened.
That happened. Yeah. Right. It's like So it's like I can't imagine the number of instances where it's like, you know, you list something, like you have reached a point where you're going to break up with the person. You go and break up with the person on like certain grounds, and then the other person who is broken up with proves you wrong, and you're like, oh my gosh, well, if I had known that, look, of course, let's get back together. It was a total misunderstanding is what it is. Okay, so now we're all good again.
It almost immediately flips it, though, because they actually prove you wrong, and you're like, wow, I guess you're right. That it's like, it almost requires some amount of misunderstanding, and then it's that almost by definition because you weren't trusting them to begin with. And then it's like, now they have reason to break up with you.
Okay, but here's the thing. Well, that's I could see
Yeah.
that. But here's the thing: is that when going into a breakup,
you already broke up with them. How dare you?
Right, I know. But like to give somebody hope in a breakup is much meaner.
Much worse.
It's much meaner than giving them no hope. And it's like by giving them no hope, it's like it sounds so mean. It sounds so cold. But it's like that is. I truly and honestly think while it will sting more in the moment, it's better.
Yeah.
Because the other thing too is like the sentiment of like maybe not now, but maybe later, like some other time will be okay. Then it's like okay, like I can walk away from this. I can be patient about it.
Just keep
like
them on the line, man.
Yeah, and it's like nope, also not good. Also like you are doing the person of, and that's why I think it's not you, it's me. It's sort of like it's almost just code for like we are breaking up now and. Exit scene. Discuss no further.
I mean,
this is Ben Carlin's book on how to successfully break up with somebody.
Yeah, there you go. I guess the real tragedy of most breakups or about the situation is that the person doing the breaking up has had a lot of time to decide to do it, and the person being broken up with is finding out about it right then.
It's true. Yeah. So there is definitely a disparity of power when it comes to the emotional readiness for the situation.
There's no doubt.
That being said, though, still, I mean, like being the person who breaks up with the other person, it's like that's always a hard one too, because you tend to feel like, okay, like this person like came to this decision and then they did it, and it's like it was their choice about things. But it's also like it can still be hard on that person as well. It's like there's still like a recovery period involved.
For sure.
With it.
Fall out on both sides.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I brought that up, though, really mostly just as a small example to ask about the sentiment of like I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.
Uh-huh.
I feel like at some point in time, this sentiment was almost supposed to like soften the blow of like, doing something that has caused your elders to have to talk to you about it. And I feel like everybody just unanimously agrees that they would rather have the person be mad at them than have them be disappointed in them.
Mm-hmm,
right?
For sure. Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
It's like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. It's like, that's worse.
That's so much worse.
Don't be disappointed. Be mad. Absolutely. Yell if you need to.
Right. Like, I know I messed up, okay? I warrant some anger.
Exactly. But yeah.
But I'm not a failure as an overall being.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is, it feels like that's what, like when people say they're disappointed, it's like, oh no. That means that your expectations from me were set too high, and I've now come in below those expectations.
Expected better out of you.
Right. So if anything, it's worse. So what I was going to ask though, is that like, do you feel like you would use those words with your kids?
Oh man,
I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
Man, not unless it was like extremely true or something. I do not think I have ever had to tell any of my children that I'm disappointed in them.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, they are still awfully quite small.
Yeah, true. Yes.
Yeah.
So
I feel like they have a good get out of jail free card for most instances in life.
Yeah, mostly they're just learning at the moment. So
right.
Excuse me.
No, you're okay.
Yeah.
You're okay. Okay. So quick note before we move on with the episode. This week is the last week you can sign up for the Moleskine notebook for the exclusive merch, which is available over at Patreon. Basically, we have a large format hardback Moleskine notebook, which is going to be stamped in gold foil with the Popcorn Culture logo and your name also in gold foil on the front cover. It is a lined notebook with a pocket in the back. I know that those are some questions people have asked about in the past because there are so many different ways that you can moleskin in life.
Yeah, you can moleskin in many ways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These will be available if you sign up anytime between now and June 30th. And then on July 1st, we have an exciting new addition to the exclusive merch for Q3 of 2022. If you'd like to check that out, it is at patreon.com/popcornculture.
This is also the last week of the 10th year of Super Carlin Brothers.
Gasp.
Yes. Factoid. In fact, as you're listening to this, if you're listening to it on day 1, it is the last day.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So how does that make you feel that we have now been doing this project for 10 years?
It I don't know. It's sort of like almost like snuck up on me a little bit.
It's true.
I'm like, I'm aware that it is like a worthy occasion and like it feels like worth celebrating. And people are like, what are you doing? What are you going to celebrate? I'm like, I don't know. We haven't like, we're going to go out to dinner.
Yeah. Yay.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's crazy to me that it has already been that long. It doesn't, in many ways, it doesn't feel that long. I think because it hasn't been full time for the entire time.
That's true. That's true.
You know.
So yeah, it's been since 2015 when you made the big leap over.
Yeah.
But that's still like that was in, I think it was October of 2015. So you're still coming up on 7 years.
I know.
Having done this, man, you were sleepy today. We should have got you some coffee. Or something.
Maybe I'll go in another room, just grab a quick cup of Joe.
Or maybe it was just 10 years of Super Carlin Brothering.
You know what it has been? It's that I've been doing YouTube for like 10 years now.
Right,
you know?
right.
I'm getting exhausted. No, I'm not. It's very exciting. It's been I really can't believe it. I'm like, especially when I think back, like what all the different things like in my life that are different from where they were 10 years ago.
Sure.
Like in 2012, I was working at the concert venue. I had recently graduated college. Me and you were living together in a like tiny little house in Salem. And like since then, it's like gotten engaged and married and like bought a first house, bought a second house, had 3 kids. You've gotten married at Disney World. We both quit our jobs. We both went to YouTube. We've worked at like 3 offices. You've had a kid. Like it has been, like I never could have predicted that's what the last 10 years were going to be like, you know. It's like, it's one of those things where like, even like you wonder where will you be 10 years from now? Like, if that's everything that happened in the past 10 years, what is everything going to look like in another 10 years? Like,
that's the thing that blows my mind the most. Like, yeah, like I'll go back and I'll look at pictures from 2012 of like myself and sort of seeing like this stage of my life that I was in and how vastly different it is from me.
Yeah.
Like, today, like I see this like that version of me had like just graduated college, but like I remember at this point in time I was drinking like a lot of soda, which feels like extremely out of character now, like as someone who rather rarely ever has soda hard stop.
I had a Diet Coke last night.
Wow, look at you go.
I know.
Did you pair it with a nice entire bag of Andy Capp's hot fries?
I absolutely did not. Actually, we had a Google Hangout last night, and typically for that occasion, I will go grab like 1 or 2 LaCroix because they're like 2-hour calls and we talk a lot and I'll need something to sip on whilst I'm down there. And I opened the fridge and we just did not have any LaCroix or any sparkling water of any description at all. And I probably could have just gotten regular water, but then I saw some Diet Cokes. And I remember this past weekend, Beth had been drinking a Coke and she only finished like half the can. And I finished the second half and I was like, that was really good. And I was like, I'm going to have a Diet Coke.
Are you going to be a Diet Coke person now?
Probably not. I think that was basically the end of it.
The people who are Diet Coke people are Diet Coke people. It becomes like an integral thread in their existence in the universe.
Our mom is a Diet Coke person.
She is a Diet Coke person.
There's no doubt. There's been Diet Coke there was Diet Coke in our house at all times as kids.
Yeah. It's a truth fact. But anyway, yeah. So during this period of time in 2012, I would drink like Coke heavy,
Coke
like
Diesel,
regular Coca-Cola
in a solid red can.
Yeah. And I feel like I would have that a lot. And
I do remember there was like not insignificant a period of time where almost on the nightly you would like leave to go to the Sheets down the street from our house in Salem to retrieve that evening's snacks.
Yes.
And it was typically like a bag of chips and like a Coke or a what were those like sleep drinks?
Oh yeah,
the
like
Sonic
I think it was like Neuro
the Neuro drinks.
They came in like a really like torpedo shaped bottle and they had like an energy one, but they had the one I really loved was like the sleep one.
Yeah.
And I think it had like some version of like like a melatonin or something in it, and you would drink it and it would like make you I don't know, sleepy or whatever. But
that was the marketing around it anyway.
And it worked on me. I actually just really loved how they tasted at the time, and so I would always go down and get those. But it's odd to me because like in a lot of ways, like I've like. I don't know, like I could never understand even like the commitment to going and like, you know, buying a pack of cigarettes or something for people who like smoked. It's like, this is such like an integral part of like your like daily routine, is this sort of like in and out of like a nearby gas station or whatever. And the fact that I was like effectively addicted to like this routine where I would go and do the exact same thing. I would go and get, you know, snacks every night. I never like put two and two together as if these were like, you know, comparable in terms of the type of behavior, in terms of like, it was almost like a compulsion,
right,
to go and do this.
Yeah,
thing.
I remember even thinking that like at the time that it felt like it would take I mean, it's not like it probably take like 20 minutes or something maybe to go and get back, but that you could also probably just buy the items in bulk or something and just have them at the house anyway.
Also true.
Yeah.
Also true. I think that like the way that like my mind would attempt to manage the finances at some point in time or during this period of time was almost as if like, well, there's a good chance that like I won't come back for the rest of the week, and like so there's no point in like buying all of it. So like chances are I'll just be fine.
Right. If I buy all of it, it means I have a problem. If I'm only buying one,
right? Yeah. It's like it's just one. I'd have to come back to the store to do it again. So I'll just do that every
like
single
you were
night.
trying to add friction to the situation and it wasn't working.
It wasn't working. It wasn't working nearly as well as it does today. If I can add friction to like any aspect of my life, any type of like, you know, negative behavior that I'm like dealing with, it's like the best way to get me to like make a big shift or whatever. Like, you know, and I feel like this has now become like a separate bingo square, but it's like social media. It's like, you know, all right, I don't have a way to get on it. So, you know, the idea of downloading the app again and having to like dig up my password and do all that type of stuff, it's like, that's way too much.
My gosh. There is oh my God. This is the number one like high friction thing that I am willing to overcome so often, but that drives me crazy, is when for whatever God knows what reason you get logged out of some like streaming service.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
True.
Because it's like everyone has this. I think everyone has the same relationship with streaming services where everyone's sharing with like at least a few other people.
Yeah.
And no matter what, no matter who you are, you're not the one who owns the account. Right? Like,
yeah, I get that.
You know, so it's like, got logged out of Hulu. Oh God! Now, how badly do I want to watch this show? Do I need to? I'm gonna have to text Ben, and he's gonna have to tell me the password, and he might have changed the password. Can I look it up? Is it somewhere on my phone? And then. Oh, that's a nightmare.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
That's a long haul. I don't like it. But that's one where it's like every time it happens, I'm just like, I'm just going to solve it right now. And it's always as frustrating as I think it's going to be.
Yeah.
And, you know, then you just got to hope it doesn't happen again.
Interestingly, Alyce and I just had, I felt like this was a rather funny anecdote, but it has like come up now on multiple occasions. But over the past several days, I think that Alyce wanted to watch Gossip Girl. And so we're like, okay, like which streaming service has Gossip Girl? And so we pulled it up and it was like, oh, okay, it's like HBO Max, whatever. So like, I was like, I don't even remember if I have an HBO Max account, but like I clicked it on my Apple TV and it opened up and it said, welcome, my ex-girlfriend's name.
Oh no.
And I was like, what? Like, it has been like 6 years.
Have you just not opened the app in that amount of time?
Jay, I promise you I have.
Yeah.
Which is what's most mind-blowing to me, because Alyce and I watched Game of Thrones together. And so like now I'm like, was I using this account that whole time? Like, because we were both befuddled by this. We were like, what
is going on?
That can't be. Like, there's no way. So I'm really not sure. The only thing that makes me like a little bit like that I think is possible is that in the past like 10 years there's been like HBO Go, HBO Now, and then HBO Max.
Sure.
So like possibly two of those existed at once, and then one of them has since expired.
Yeah, like one, like they just is not a product anymore, and they just like consolidated it into HBO Max or something.
Right. So like maybe we watched like HBO Go Game of Thrones, and it was like, oh, okay, like this was fine. And then HBO Go just like ceased to be, so there's not like an icon on my Apple TV anymore, but like HBO Max had still been there. I really don't even know. I was telling everybody in the office about it this morning, and Ethan, the podcast editor, was like, I don't even think that product existed then. So even, that was even more mind-blowing to me. I was like, how did this come to be? But it did. And so then like now Allie and I have just sort of like had this like joke about how we're like, well, I guess we're just not going to use HBO Max. We've been like scared away by it. We're like, something feels fishy about
Something's
that.
the fishy. Maybe just like change your password or something.
Well, I don't even have, I mean, I don't know. It's, I logged myself out of it. You know, I was like, I don't want to like accidentally be like, you know, continue watching Gossip Girl on her screen somewhere. And it's like, oh gosh, what happened here? It felt like this like odd social dilemma from so far away, which was just really odd and unusual and unexpected and stuff. But the kind of interesting thing about that, to go back to 2012, because there's a couple of pieces here that I do think are kind of fascinating, is that during 2012, we were living in that house together, this like small house in Salem, Virginia. And while my life is nothing like it was then, in terms of like at that point in time, I was doing like my aquarium job full time, and you know we were doing like Super Carlin Brothers, and I was just like sort of into like a variety of like different other like lifestyle behaviors and stuff like that. Oddly, Alice's bridal shop she was moving into on the same street that we lived on.
Wow.
And so like in this like really unusual way, because this had nothing to do with like how we like came to like start talking or anything, like,
right,
despite the fact that we were like 250 yards from her business,
right,
completely irrelevant. But the odd thing about it is that just like geospatially speaking, it's like a lot of what the future of my life was going to be was all in this like very close like proximity.
Weird.
I know. I've always thought that was really unusual.
Yeah, you've got like roots on that street.
I know. And so now, yeah, like, so, I mean, literally just this past weekend, I was like at that location.
Man.
Yeah. And it was like, man, I'm like right here. I can like basically see our old house from right here.
Crazy.
Not quite see it, but almost.
Yeah, like up the hill.
Almost, yeah, up the hill.
Yeah.
But actually, that's sort of an interesting tidbit that I could talk about as well, because there's been a rather fun project that Alyce and I have been working on in the background that's been kind of using like a bunch of our time. And it's been one of these things that like I didn't want to like jump the gun on discussing it, because it felt like there was a strong possibility. Well, look, I didn't know like when it was going to have like the final outcome, so I'd sort of like,
right,
you know, held back on talking about it too much.
Always a good idea, because once you say it, people will be expecting it forever.
Right. But now it's there. Now it exists. I know. Which is that Alyce and I started like a new business, which is really kind of fun and cool.
Yeah.
And it's called Nude.
Yeah.
It's
NEW apostrophe D.
NEW apostrophe D. It's
right.
like, it's not what you think.
Right.
Although I have desperately wanted to create like bumper stickers that say like, or like a t-shirt design that says like get nude.
Right. Yeah.
You know, because I think it's funny. But Alyce, and this even goes back to early stages of our relationship, but since I have known her, she has absolutely loved like thrift shopping.
Yeah.
Which is an activity that like I have struggled so hard to get into at all, because like I would go to the thrift shops and I was never really understanding what we were looking for. Like I had never been able to properly gamify it, or even like go and just like find something truly amazing and then get like that like instilled faith that sort of like let me know like, yeah, there's something.
Yeah. Like, we don't know what we're looking for, but we know when we find it. And when we do, it's going to be great.
It's going to be great. Yeah. And the thing is that like I love treasure hunting.
Right.
And it's like thrift shopping is basically like a kind of like, you know, it's like kind of like treasure hunting a little bit. You know? It's like there could be something valuable here that is now just available for small purchase. But anyway, yeah, so this had like sort of been like a thing in our relationship for a long time, is that she always wanted to go thrift shopping, and I was always sort of like, I don't know how to, or like what my goal of the thrift shopping is. So like we would go and she would like methodically go through like each, hanger and like garment and like hold stuff up, and she would like, buy things and I would like sort of like just sort of fold my arms and like walk through the aisles back and forth.
Like, are we done yet?
And they're like, I think we used to have that blender when we were kids. I wonder if that's mom's blender.
Wow.
It wasn't. It was a different blender, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Yeah. It didn't have the red button. And I feel like I'd recognize the red button from mom's
if I
blender.
remember anything about the blender we had when we were kids, that had like 24 settings that you could
the
put it
proper
on.
number of settings.
Yeah, the proper number of blender speeds you might need for any given situation.
Right, because everybody knows the advanced subtleties of how fast a blade should spin in order to properly demolish the solid food inside.
It felt to me like there was some unwritten known rule about blenders back then. It was like you had to start at like 1, and you got to like press each button in sequence, so like slowly build up to the speed you want to go to and chop it up, slowly.
I can't even tell you how bad I am at blenders, which is to say that like in the beginning of blenderdom, now I have a blender that has blades that go all the way up to the top. And to me, I'm like, that just intuitively makes sense. But whenever I was a kid and ever tried to make anything in a blender, it would always be the case that like the bottom 2.5 inches would be like, oh yeah, like total smoothie day.
Yeah.
Everything else above was like, nope. And then you're like, well, should I like open the lid and like sort of like jam some stuff down there? But then what if I hit the blade and it's a spinning thing and it's in a glass container? And like, this just feels like a recipe for stitches.
It does. I remember. Yeah, we got eventually the Ninja blender, which I think is that the one you have that has blades all the way up.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. I remember I loved that one because it was so different. That's the one Beth and I used to have, and it was great because it looks. I feel like someone went through the experience we just described and we're like, I don't understand anything about blenders. Why isn't it blades all the way up, and why isn't it a single button at one speed that blows up anything you put in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, and that's exactly what that blender does, and it works great. I'll tell you that. But now we have, I think, the Nutrisystem, and I always remember, I think when we got it, Beth was like, no, this is the best one, or is it the Vitamix? That's the one.
Oh,
that's
yeah, the Vitamix is
the
like
Vitamix.
the,
That's the one you gotta get. I'm
fancy.
told. Yeah, and I was like, oh my gosh. The Ninja had all these blades and stuff. This one's gonna be insane. And then I get it. And sure enough, it's like the other one. It's like there's just like a tiny spinning blade at the bottom. And I'm like, well, this doesn't seem as impressive. This can't possibly work as well.
This is not better.
Yeah, but I guess it works. It does. It does the thing.
That's good. That's good. The point is that one day that I was at the thrift shop, it wasn't Mom's blender.
Oh.
Yeah, just to bring it full circle. Because anyway, so Alyce and I have been working on this project called Nude, which is a like women's secondhand sort of like high-end clothing shop, which is located in Salem, Virginia. But there's also a website, which is nudesalem.com, and an Instagram, which is the same. So if you want to check those out, that would make her day. I'm 1,000% sure of that. But it sort of has like a fun and slightly interesting origin story, which is that of course Allie has always liked the thrift shopping thing. This store has kind of been like her lifelong dream, but the way that she ultimately like finally got it off the ground is that through all of like having had Addison and like the time that she had to take off of work and like the amount that like I'd seen like that like impacting her, because like she absolutely loves what she does for a living. Like she like going to work for her is not like a challenge, and like like her business is like what she thinks about as like her hobby and everything. It's like this is like what occupies her mind all the time. So I think it was sometime around March that I was like, I really just want to like thank you for everything that you've done, like in terms of like helping with Addison and like you bring her to like the shop with you and everything. It's like there is this brand of dress called Love Shack Fancy that is they are expensive, but they're like super nice and fancy dresses and stuff. I was like, I would really love to just like finally just be able to get you one as like just like a like for no reason, not like a Mother's Day gift, not like a birthday present, just like as a thank you for everything you've been doing. And so she was super excited. She went on the website and was kind of poking around, and then she came back like later that evening and was like, I was thinking about it, and I feel like what I would rather do is instead of get one of those dresses is buy racks so we can finally start this secondhand clothing company.
Right.
And so I was like, you've wanted one of these dresses for like the past 3 years. Like, I was like, I can't believe that. Like, really? Like, you'd rather do like the racks? And she was like, I want racks. And so it was like,
All right.
All right. So we went to like, racks.com. That's probably not it. Don't
Go to that. Yeah.
But like,
what are you throwing out here? Nude and racks?
I know.
Jeez,
man. I'm sorry.
Come on.
It's all accidental. I just keep walking into it. Too many things are potentially problematic in this conversation. Anyway, it's just Racks R Us. That seems worse. It was a company that sells retail clothing racks, and so we bought several of those, and they came in, and part of the now gift is that I would go out and help her go through all the processes of assembling them and mounting them to the walls and such. And she had this location behind her bridal shop that was empty, that was just sort of begging to turn into something else. So we started putting it together, and I will tell you, in the beginning, I was like, this is cool. She's got a handful of racks, some tables and stuff like that. But in the course of 1 month, it went from this empty vacant space, which just had some piles of stuff everywhere, to this beautiful storefront. She has done an amazing job putting it all together. I've been so impressed. So anyway, it's officially open if you want to come and shop or go online.
Check them out on Instagram.
Yeah.
It does look really good.
Yeah, it's been really cool, and it's all consignment based. So you could either approach the store as a consigner and potentially have your stuff sold and get 50% of the proceeds back, or else just shop and get some great deals.
I feel like ever since you guys have been working on this, there are other consignment stores in Roanoke for other products that it has just not even occurred to me to even try to use before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If ever I need to get rid of stuff from the house, I'm just Goodwill, boom, dump it, see you later, don't care, get out of the house. And but we're getting to the point where even Nick and Nate are outgrowing some of the toys intended for the young, when they were real young, 1-year-old stuff.
Yep.
And a lot of that stuff is big or something that's to help you start walking or something.
Yeah.
And it's just this still takes up a lot of space in my house, and I would love to go get rid of it, but there's plenty of baby or kids toys consignment shops and stuff, and it's maybe I should be taking it there because then I could get some money back on this stuff.
Yeah, well, and that's so we use Once Upon a Child.
Yeah, Once Upon a Child.
Yeah, so we use that for a lot of stuff for Addie, for this exact purpose. But you're totally right. Because you could even go there and consign the stuff or sell it. I think that's what they do. They just buy it outright from you.
It's almost even better. Just get the money right away.
Exactly. Yeah. But then you could even just use it to just buy the next age range of things.
Yeah.
At the same store. Which is just a great way to go about it. But it's just kind of a fascinating process all the way around, and exactly like you just said, I just take it to Goodwill. Part of what opening Nude has done is now when Allie and I go thrift shopping, I actually know what I'm doing. Right. Which is super fun. So I can even walk the aisles with her and everything, and I'm looking for all the specific brands and design numbers and stuff like that. And it's I can know if something is actually worth getting from the thrift store. And even that's been fascinating because now we have all these friends and family members and stuff who have now started thrifting so that they can potentially bring stuff to Allie's store that they can then consign. So it's I think it's been really cool to almost just even imagine the potential reverberations through our little local economy here.
Yeah.
As to how people start doing some resale activity.
Some resale activity.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the other thing is that you've always been very good about this, and it's one of those things to me. So much value comes from not owning the item anymore.
Right.
That that is normally just enough for me. But yeah, I think just sitting in my garage right now, I've got 3 old coffee makers. We're just throughout the years, the top sort of got a little melted on this one because we left it under a light bulb. But and eventually we just upgraded the coffee maker. This one, there's nothing wrong with this one. It still makes perfectly good coffee. It's just now it's, we have a better one.
Right.
So now we have, and that's happened 2 or 3 days. So I think there's 3 perfectly usable coffee makers in my garage, and I'm just it's an item where it's I don't feel good just throwing this in the trash because it's a perfectly functioning appliance, but I also feel if I'm going to take it to Goodwill, I'm going to have to clean it or something. I'm going to have spend time working on it to get rid of it, which is something. But I'm why not? Like, it's like, I don't know why it hasn't even occurred to be like, I could just sell them. I could just put it on Facebook Marketplace. And then even just like, even if I'm selling it for like $20, it's like, that's enough motivation to like wipe it off. You know?
Right. Yeah. Run it through the dishwasher or something. No, you're absolutely right. And I do think that like, yeah, for me, I actually unexpectedly feel like the mentality behind a lot of this started maybe with Diablo 2.
Wow.
But totally what would always happen to me in Diablo 2 is that you would enter the game, and when you do, you're like a level 1 character who has like a basic axe and a basic shield or whatever. Like, you know, they can sell for 1 gold piece, which is basically like in the game as close to being completely worthless as humanly possible.
Yeah. If you can get an enemy to drop literally anything else, you'll be good.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is fun because then you get to like start improving your gear very quickly, and like anything that drops on the ground is better than any of the things that you started with because it was otherwise basically nothing. And the other thing I tended to be good at with Diablo was making some type of a friend who would typically then give me some like free equipment or stuff or whatever. But typically I was never good enough as like a 12, 13-year-old kid to build out all of my characters. So I would like level up, you know, like an Amazon, for example, like level 85, and I would have like a really good bow and arrow and helm and armor and boots and gloves and all the rest of the stuff. But then I'd be like, you know, it looks really fun to like play the barbarian.
Right.
I'm going to go trade all of my Amazon equipment for barbarian equipment. And then it was like, but then, you know, people are like, oh, do you have any other characters? And be like, well, I have an Amazon, but like they don't have any equipment at all.
Right.
I have a level 85 that has nothing. Like not even holding gear.
Right. Can you give me like 2 hours? I can go trade and get the gear back, or
yeah. It's like, I mean, which honestly was probably what I would have done because I love trading more than actually playing the game itself.
Yeah.
But I do this now with hobbies where I will get very into something and like, you know, like sort of build up the materials for it, and then as that hobby sort of fades into the back, I'll just go through and sell all of that stuff in order to then fund my next hobby. But frequently people will be like, hey, you used to do that like activity, right? And I'm like, yeah, but I have nothing to show for it at all. Like I have nothing in the garage that pertains to this particular.
I have the memories.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so all of my possessions have always been extremely liquid assets.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I do not have a very personal attachment to any of them.
Right.
So like whenever I read like the Hunger Games and Katniss has like her dad's like old like hunting jacket and boots and like bow and arrow and stuff, I'm like, oh man,
not gonna have any of those things.
Yeah, if Katniss was my daughter, it would be like, no, there's nothing.
Nah, you'll have something.
Yeah.
Someday, Addison will have something be like, this is my dad's forever, and he gave it to me.
You think so?
Yeah, for sure.
That would be the best thing.
That's gonna happen.
That's like, oh man, yeah. All right, that's goals. That's goals.
Luke there's we have a chair at my house that I think belonged to like our dad's grandfather, and has like made its way from like you know, down to, you know, his son to our grandpa to dad to me to now Luke.
Yes.
Has it, and it's like on the bottom it says like the first owner on it, and it's like, oh, that's so cool. So it's like an over 100-year-old just like little kid's chair made out of wood. And I mean, it looks old for sure, but it's still pretty sturdy and everything.
It totally,
really cool.
Yeah.
I remember being like very excited to be like, oh boy, Luke is finally big enough to sit in this chair. I'm gonna get, I can go to mom and dad's house and be like, can I get the chair?
Right. Yeah, I know.
Now I'm like petrified I'm gonna be the one who breaks it, or Luke's gonna break it or something. You know, I'm like, oh man, I ruined it.
I ruined the thing.
The thing.
Oh man, no. So all you have to do is protect it long enough for Luke to have a child.
Exactly.
And then it can be passed on from from the next generation.
And it's not my problem anymore.
Does the etching in the bottom, is it from like the 1890s?
Oh man, I'd have to go look.
I feel like there's an 8 in my head. I can't remember if it's like 1908 or like 1894, but it feels like it's one of those two.
It does feel like it's one of those things. Yeah, it is an old chair.
It's an astonishingly old chair.
I know. It's like very cool that it has like existed the whole time and like stayed in the family the whole time.
So we did this behind or inside of the walls when we did our renovation. We left a note that said,
Oh, nice.
like we renovated it, on this day or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've always thought that would be really cool if, like, 100 years from now they're renovating it again, and they're like,
Hey, look at this.
look at this. I know inside of the wall.
This is so cool.
I know. Yeah. So that's like, there are like all of these little things though that I feel like fall into that, like, I don't know why, but the payoff would be that someday somebody will find this writing and be like, holy cow, how about that?
Right.
It made it all this time.
And you won't even know, though.
I remember when we were kids.
You gotta, like, put your cell phone number.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
They're probably like, what is this?
What is
7
this?
digits.
Yeah.
That can't be right. What's a 7-digit number for? I actually remember.
Ben, can I read you some numbers? Speaking of which.
Speaking of, yes, you can.
Well,
absolutely. Yeah.
All right, let me make sure I read it.
What are they for?
appropriately. Well, Ben, I just have some numbers here. Okay.
Okay.
All right. There's not as many numbers as usual. I'll tell you that. Okay. The numbers are 32,153,045 and 66. Okay, Ben, so we talked about, like, this is the 10th year anniversary of Super Carlin Brothers. Really, really exciting that we've made it this long. Crazy to think. Okay, so question number 1. Do you think 10 years from now, we will still be making popcorn culture?
Oh, goodness gravy. That's a loaded question. I think so. I think so. How many episodes would we be at?
Oh, man. Let's see. If it's like roughly, let's say 50 a year, probably like take 1 or 2 weeks off for, reasons. Yeah,
so
right. So that's 50 a year, 500
episodes.
more episodes. We'll be at episode like 633.
That's not bad.
That doesn't seem unreasonable when you say it like that.
It seems like there are podcasts that have more than 1,000 episodes.
Yeah.
So when you think about it like that, it's like, okay, that's conceivable. I can definitely get my head around that. Okay, so the year is 2032. Luke would be 14.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, wow, that's crazy.
I know.
Like the sound of that at all.
I know.
Not one bit. Nope.
Man, okay. What else would be going on at that point in time? I don't know. It's there. Yeah, this is like what has always caused the most amount of anxiety for me. Like whenever I think about like a lifelong career at all, because like people of our generation so commonly just don't have the same career from, like age 23, 24 to, retirement.
Right.
Like it's not so common that you just sort of like, you get out of college, you start your job, and you just stay in that field or in that, like, with that company for that entire stretch. But I don't even think it's most people's aspiration to do that. Like it's not like they're like, failing and have to find something else to do. It's just typically that like their interests change, or that they want like a change of scenery, or have some type of life experience that like takes them on a different path or whatever. So they just go and do something different. Also, on the other hand, it's like, I really want to be doing this 10 years from now.
I know. There's like, it's like, I feel like it's in some ways like a matter of completely how you frame it. Like if you could be like, wow, like if it becomes 10 years from now, you're like, man, we're doing the exact same thing we were doing 10 years ago. What does that say? Or you could be like, man, I can't believe we've managed to keep doing it for 10 years.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. I mean, and I would say that that's the feeling I have here today, being the first 10 years in.
I know.
Okay, so here's another question on that note then, is that 10 years from now, that would mean we would have been doing this for 20 years total.
Oh my God, you're right. That means Super Carlin Brothers. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So at that point in time, especially if we were still doing like this like fandom related content where like our viewer base starts, as early as like high school, possibly even middle school for some people, then there would be people who are watching who are not as old as the channel is.
Oh my
like the
gosh,
channel,
that's
like,
crazy.
Yeah, like they have been born after the channel was created and are now a fan of it.
Man.
Like, isn't that stirring?
Boy, that is stirring.
Yeah.
That's weird to think about. Okay, what made me think about this question, though, was that apparently you got an email or something last week from the early, like someone who just started listening to popcorn culture in the past like month or so.
Okay.
Or they went back and listened to the first few episodes or something.
Oh, yes. Someone said that they were listening to like the first few episodes of the pop.
Yeah. And they said it was a very interesting discussion we were having, because at the time I was saying that I was considering getting off of Twitter and social media, and you were saying that it was something you never even considered.
Yeah.
And like now here we are, just not that much later, and it's like you fully went in, deleted everything off your phone, and like I still have Instagram and TikTok on my phone, but Facebook and Twitter are at least off of my phone.
Okay. Yeah.
But
so that probably means that 10 years from now you'll definitely be off completely.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, totally offline. I know this is interesting to me as well, because I struggle at all times with the, maybe I'm going to try to call it, ever evolving nature of like my views of the world, and try not to make it sound too fickle, which is to say that I'm just like liable to change my viewpoints on things basically at any point in time.
I don't think you're even the way you're framing this sentence as if like that would be like something to be like balked at. Like, I think that is the appropriate way to be.
Well, I mean, I am proud of myself for having what I would refer to as like a nimble mindset. Like I'm never so deeply rooted to like a specific viewpoint or belief or perspective on something that I can't deviate from it or change or evolve or learn more information. Like I don't have a lot of shame necessarily in like letting go of how I used to view a thing.
Mm-hmm. So it's entirely possible that 10 years from now you could find social media to be an incredibly enriching and vital part of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I've even thought about this since getting off social media. So like go back to our conversation about like the it's not you, it's me perspective on things. Like you could potentially have a negative relationship with social media, which is what I would say I generally was having and led me to exiting it in the first place. But that could be very much the same where it's like, I'm not prepared to be in a relationship right now. And it's like, you almost have to like go and like become more one with yourself so that then you are able to then like, give yourself to another person like more fully, if that makes sense. And so it's like, I think having a more like a healthier relationship, me with myself, could lead to me having a much more healthy and rewarding and enriching relationship with social media in the future, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So like, I am not necessarily here to say that I think that all social media is like negative and toxic and problematic for all people. I would say that it depends on you as an individual as to whether or not that is how it is impacting you.
Sure.
And the thing that I would like implore is mostly just like, maybe take it under advisement, like maybe consider it. Like maybe this is the type of thing where it's like, nobody had ever prompted you to deviate from the existing path, and therefore you didn't. And so I think whenever I present thoughts like this, my hope is that maybe it would just cause somebody who's like in their car or, like cleaning their house or listening on headphones or whatever to be like, why am I on social media? And like,
right.
and like maybe, you reflect on it and you're like, maybe what you discover is like, I love it. It's a great way for me to like see my family and share like updates about my life with my friends and stuff. Or maybe you could be like, nobody I'm really close to in real life interacts with me on social media at all. It's all purely for these like, the faceless.
Yeah, the strangers, the people I've started following, or
yeah, exactly, yeah. Or maybe you even just find that you're comparing your life to others in a way that isn't
the comparison game, the thief of happiness.
Where do we start with this though? Because the question was like maybe 10 years from now, I could have that perspective on social media. But I think what gets me is that because I typically am in this constant state of just like perspective shifting. Frequently, it will make me look back on past versions of myself and find them to be a little bit like a stranger to me, because I have changed my views so much, or even just like my approach to life so much since then, that I have like almost a hard time like relating with past versions of me.
But do you need to?
Not necessarily,
Yeah.
no. But like, you might like, I could go back and listen to episode 3 of this podcast and hear the argument that episode 3 Ben was making for a given thing and be like, wow, I disagree with this guy entirely.
Right.
And it's like, it's you,
Right.
but
Well, that's okay.
it is okay.
It's fine to change your mind and have a growing opinion on things if you've had new experiences or learned new information.
Yeah. So I think probably what happens is there's like a safety zone, which is almost like anything that I did or said that was like 10 years old. It's like, that was so long ago. Like, what, little old me,
Right.
whatever. Anything in the past like 3 years, it's like, that's too recent. like you needed to have figured this out faster.
Yeah.
I think. So, but then like, if I can just get the 7 more years down, then I'll give myself a pass. What could he have known?
Even that though, it's like that's like your perception that it takes 10 years for your opinion to no longer matter, but it's like it could be yesterday,
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. This is almost where I feel like if you wanted to take like the current formula for Twitter, I actually do think that all tweets should just expire within 30 days entirely. Like don't store them, don't have a backlog, anything like that, because it's like it's so difficult to remember the full context of a period of time around like when a sentiment may have been expressed.
Right.
And it's like there's no way not to use today's standards to examine that thought. And it doesn't, I'm not excusing the thought or anything like that if it was a bad one. It's just like it existed when it did, not now.
Yeah.
So it's like we just need a better method for just voiding
right
that thought.
We're doing that thing where we invent Snapchat again.
Dang it.
Yeah.
10 years from now,
wouldn't it be great?
Snapchat.
Wouldn't it be great if there was a social media where you posted it and it was just gone? Like that was it?
I know. We're doing that thing. We're inventing Snapchat again.
Whoops. That should be on the bingo card. The boys invent Snapchat again.
Again, I know, yeah.
A social media platform neither of us ever used or understood, but talk ourselves into all the time.
Constantly. It's like, if only there was Snapchat.
If only it existed, but it doesn't, and it's not figure-outable.
And people go back, why don't you just join Snapchat? It's like, oh, God. No.
What do you want? Okay, all right. It's not 2015, guys, all right?
Right, yeah.
Let's figure it out. Oh man, Ben. Okay, so I have an update on my sunflowers.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know the biting information. Everyone is just like dying to hear the update on.
Did Bazooka Jack continue to win the battle?
Well. So as it is right now, I reached a point where I was pretty confident that Bazooka Jack had been heartily defeated, more or less, because sunflowers grow so fast.
They do.
Like it's crazy. It's so that's like part of like the real fun of sunflowers to me is that like you can leave in the morning and come back and see noticeable growth.
Yeah.
It is it's like especially fun with like Luke because he's just like, whoa, these are big. Like they are taller than him now, which is unbelievable.
That is.
Yeah. So right now, the biggest one is in the process of like unfurling all the petals. So it's been like a 2 or 3 day process. But like, I would bet that by the time I get home today, I will have at least one full big sunflower out there, which I'm very excited about. But
you'll have to take a picture.
Oh yeah, I've been taking pictures like every day. I'm like, ooh, a little bit closer.
That's fun.
Actually, our friend Mike. His like whole business is like meal prep and then he'll like deliver you all the meals for the week and stuff. And like he always comes by the office because we order them for lunch here, but we order some for dinner at my house as well. So he also like stops by there. Of course, I'm just never there to see him because I'm here.
Right.
But the other day he actually texted me a picture of the sunflowers. We were like, "Oh, dude, they're getting so big. They're getting close." It was funny to me that like someone who doesn't live in my house is like there on a weekly basis to like see the progress.
Yes.
Like, oh man.
It's so true.
They've got a following.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
One whole follower.
J.
Carlin Sunflowers.
That's right. Boom. Check it out.
The realogram.
Yeah.
because it's real life.
Yeah.
That's what a realogram
A
is.
realogram,
Yeah, you have
not a
to, like-
Finstagram.
What's a Finstagram?
Like a fake Instagram? I guess
No,
that's still
because
real life.
yeah, that's a real Insta. Like this is like Instagram, but like real, like the real world, like not actually Instagram. There's no social media platform. It's just real life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's like when I walk over to your house next time, I'm gonna be like, and I will tell you.
But you just tell me you
I will,
like them.
Yeah, in person.
Yeah.
Face to face.
Hopefully I'll have more than one fully bloomed one. But so anyway, they got so tall so quickly that I was like, well, game's up, Bazooka Jack. There's no even like, you know what? There's nothing you can do now because the leaves are out. Most of the leaves are out of your reach. You're just a small little bunny. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
You know, you can't eat these leaves. They're too tall. You're just so small. So
Did he jump?
Well,
Did he hop?
It's not that he jumped, Ben. It's that Bazooka Jack called in reinforcements.
Oh no, he
on me.
didn't.
I know.
An even larger rabbit.
Worse. I mean, you might call it a larger rabbit. I would call it a deer.
Whoa, that's a huge rabbit.
Big rabbit.
Can you imagine if rabbits were as big as deer?
Rabbits would be so much more terrifying.
They would. Yes, they would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be like, whoa, this is a really, really, really fast, large thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at least they mostly just eat sunflowers, so we're all good.
Yeah, well, not if you're trying to grow them. But so, yeah, I thought I was so in the clear because all the flowers had just gotten beyond where they could be eaten more or less. I came out one morning and like half the leaves were gone on like half the sunflowers. I was like, what happened here? And then I realized Bazooka Jack had reinforcements and had called in a deer in the night. And
The deer in the night.
the deer in the night had like eaten so many leaves on my sunflowers. So, it remains to be seen if those shall recover. But I've had to take I got my spray going. I got to put some new repellent up. Seems like it's working, but I'm being more vigilant about it now because I got a little soft because I didn't think Bazooka Jack could do much more. Clearly, I was wrong. He's crafty.
Yeah, I really want you to get a wildlife cam for the front of your house, just so that we can start like seeing like what's the what with these little critters.
Yeah, this is actually I see the rabbit all the time. And it's not to say that it's even a single rabbit would be inaccurate. If I look out in my backyard, I can often see like 2 to 3 back there. Yeah, which kids love.
They're sustaining on a great, diet of plentiful sunflowers. So
yeah. I actually had this like very sort of like in the moment, like, oh, duh sort of thing where I was looking out like just like looking at one rabbit and Luke's like, there's another one. And I was like, where? And he's like, over there. And I was like, oh man, there is. And then I look back and I'm like, there's another. I'm like, oh my gosh, these rabbits are like multiplying back here. And I was like, that is what they do. I'm experiencing it firsthand.
Right.
Yep, it's happening.
That's like the
Here
whole
it
thing.
is. That's the whole thing. And now there's like 3 of them now. Okay,
It's
cool.
the saying.
But it is hilarious because sometimes we'll be down there, and even while we're just out in the backyard playing, like one will find its way through the fence and it'll just be in the backyard. And if the boys spot it, they will chase it no matter what. And it is amazing because first of all, the rabbit can escape no problem because there's wide slats in the fence. It's not like all the boards like right next to each other, and yet the rabbit does not always immediately go for the fence. There have been times where like they have gotten like 3 or 4 laps around the yard, and it's like, man, I think the boys might get him. What are they going to do if they catch it?
You're going to have a pet rabbit. I think.
We basically already do.
It's true. It's
just wild.
Right. He just lives in the yard. It's an outdoor rabbit.
Yeah, it's an outdoor rabbit. It is not allowed inside, and please don't touch it.
Right. Well, so interestingly, I also have a fun botanical bit of update to provide you with, which is that I think last year after we had our pumpkins on our front porch, which last year was the first year ever that we bought like the huge variety of different like squashes and such, some of which have kind of like unusual colorations or like bumps or shapes or whatever. And we threw them in our compost heap at the end of the season. And this year we were like walking around like our garden area because it's where we planted our garden, and we were like, what is that? What is that plant? This is different looking. It doesn't look like a weed, and it does look interesting. And sure enough, it has just like exploded in growth. And I use an app called Seek, which is like from National Geographic or something. But you can like take a photo of like a plant or an animal, and it will basically like identify it for you.
Yeah.
And so ours has come up kind of unusually just as squash, It's just like we don't really know what kind of squash it is. It could be a pumpkin or it could be something else, but it's squash. And same thing as your sunflowers. It's like Alyce and I will go and look at it like every morning and evening, and we're like, it's like 2 feet longer today.
Yeah.
It has gotten
Plants are crazy.
absolutely gigantic. So I hopefully by the end of the season will no plan. You know, I didn't intend for this.
Yeah.
But I will probably have some squash for you.
Well, great.
Yeah.
Everyone's most favorite food, squash.
Ornamental squash.
Ornamental squash.
Probably.
Probably.
But yeah, I'm very excited about it. Actually, yesterday I was even looking at them and I found like a little row of like eggs on the bottom, and I was like, I wonder what those are. So again, I pulled out my app and I identified them, squash bugs, and I was like, squash bugs. Oh goodness.
Sounds like you need to squash them squash bugs.
I know. Well, I basically looked it up, and that was pretty much what they said to do. They were
Oh.
like, just like scrape them off and squash them.
Just there
And
you
I was
go.
like,
Dead.
it's amazing how much the word squash comes up as it pertains to this particular corner of my home.
Yeah, wow, a lot of squashing happened over there. I discovered some things about the other plants that I inherited with the house
Ooh.
recently, also in the backyard, because the boys threw like a ball into the thicket, not the thicket. There's like a corner of the yard that's got a bunch of like bushes and shrubs in it, most of which I don't have to deal that much with because it's just sort of in the back corner of the yard, and I don't really care about it that much.
Okay.
Yeah, but anyway, I
Sounds
knew,
like your favorite corner of the yard, but whatever.
There are 2 corners in particular that each have a butterfly bush in them.
Okay.
Which I'd never heard of before, but I guess are exactly what they sound like. They're just bushes that attract butterflies. So I guess if you live there, you can just enjoy the sight of more butterflies.
Yeah. How about
Yeah.
that?
I was like, all right, cool. We
Good-
have
good
butterfly
pollinators.
bushes. Yeah, we have butterfly bushes over there. But then as we were fishing the ball out that had gotten in there, I noticed like, one of these one of the plants back there had like very like sharp looking leaves and like just thorns all over it. And I was like, man, this, I don't know what this is, but this looks like a nasty kind of weed or something.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, ooh, you know what? I also have like a plant identifier app. And I was like, I wonder
Look at
what
us.
it is. I wonder what it is. And so I was like, maybe it's not a weed. I don't know. And I scanned it. And to my extreme surprise, it came back and said it's like red raspberry bush. And I was like, what? Jackpot!
Raspberries.
Raspberry in my yard. This is unbelievable. I've never seen red raspberries back there. It is entirely possible because Bazooka Jack and Company might be consuming them as they come in. Sounds like the sort of thing he would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic
yeah.
Bazooka Jack.
Classic Bazooka
So
Jack.
there's
But-
a good chance though that you're going to be passing around. While I have ornamental squash pie,
Yeah.
you'll have raspberry pie.
Yeah, I don't want to. We'll see who. Yeah, I mean, one sounds better than the other. I don't want to say who.
We'll see though.
We'll
see. Because I mean, it sounds like you don't have that much plant going on.
does
So it
seem
could
like-
it could be like a pie crust
I
with
could-
like 7 raspberries sort of like squashed onto the bottom of it.
No, they're not going to be squashed, Ben. They're going to be razzed.
That's true. Mine will be squashed.
Yours will be squashed.
I'll squash the squash into the squash pie.
Exactly. And I'll razz the razzes. It'll be great. So I'm excited to see if I end up having raspberries. But what I learned from my little plant app is that not only might it be a raspberry bush, but that also this particular kind of plant is good at attracting butterflies and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, interesting. And then I was just on a kick. I was like, I'm gonna see what all these plants are, because I also have these like really tall stalk things underneath like the stairs going down to my yard. And I was like, I feel like last year I pulled all these up because I thought they were weeds, but I don't know. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're supposed to be here. Maybe they're intentional. And I scanned it. Turns out, unbelievably, it's another kind of sunflower plant, or at least in the same family.
No way.
Yeah, but basically what they're, I guess they get some sort of yellow flower on them eventually. None yet, but what they're good at is attracting butterflies. So like all the pieces started really coming together for me about what the overall desired effect of this backyard was once upon a time.
Butterflies?
Which was butterflies. I was like, okay, someone had a plan. I see what's going on. That's why there's pollen everywhere back here. So this was my my fun detective work in the backyard. Who knew there was so much to discover?
The great butterfly mystery of
Yeah.
22.
Well, here's the thing. I would say I've lived there for a few years now, and I've never been in the backyard like, God, I love all these butterflies. It's just like, there's too many rabbits.
So maybe it's not working, or maybe Bazooka Jack is also eating the butterflies.
Well, that,
That would be quite the sight to watch a bunny jump clean off the ground into the air and devour a butterfly.
That would be quite the sight. You're right.
It would be, because they're such gentle creatures.
Yeah.
Bazooka Jack.
Unless they're targeting down your sunflowers.
Yeah, in which case they're a real menace. Anyway, apparently we've gotten extremely into plants. Who knew that was coming? Maybe we'll just switch popcorn culture over to popcorn horticulture.
Look, popcorn is already a plant, Ben.
This is fair.
Yeah.
This is fair. So maybe we were just in the right spot all
Maybe
along.
we need to plant some popcorn.
Oh,
That'd be
is that?
fun.
Can you do that?
I don't see why not.
Because
well, I'm sure somewhere on the planet you can do it.
Somewhere on the planet you can do it, but it seems like standard corn on the cob is not the same type of corn that you use for poppin' corn.
That'd be correct.
That'd be correct.
Yeah.
So how do you make poppin' corn?
I assume you just have to plant poppin' corn.
Oh, so it's that easy. Can we
Right.
just take kernels out of the thing and put them in the ground and grow poppin' corn?
These?
We have a popcorn machine literally like 3.5 inches from your head.
It does occur to me that if I bought popcorn seeds, I don't know that I could expect them to look like anything other than popcorn kernels.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Surely they do.
Surely that this is like I remember this is not the first time I planted sunflowers. When we lived at the other house, I planted sunflowers. I remember I got the seeds and I opened it up and it was like, oh, it's sunflowers. It's like, it's sunflower seeds, which I always think of as a snack, not as something you could plant in the ground.
Right.
But it's like you
right.
open the packet for the sunflowers and it's like, oh yeah, I guess, duh.
Right. This is like if you just like plant a potato, you get like a potato plant.
Yeah.
If I've learned anything from the Marsh, which I'm pretty sure I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably a few things.
Probably a few things.
Thanks that there's no law on Mars.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of The Pop. We appreciate your support just so very much. If you would like to get in on that Moleskin notebook for the exclusive merch at the quarterly Patreon tier, you can do so at patreon.com/popcornculture. That will be available until June 30th. And then on July 1st, we will have an exciting new announcement about what the Q3 merch item will be.
Oh man, what's it gonna be?
We're excited about it, though. It's going to be a good one. Again, patreon.com/popcornculture. Otherwise, until next time.
Pop, pop.